Minnie, you've got the big freeze beanie on. Special occasion this week.
Yeah, it is. It's such a great cause, and Neil was the GM of footy here for 5 years, so it has a connection to this footy club. And I worked at the D's last year and sort of firsthand Neil's influence at that football club and the game, and I just think it's for such a terrific cause. So get down to the supermarkets, buy your beanies, and you can buy the digital ones online as well. So it's just a great idea to support such a cause.
I'll get you down the slide on Sunday.
I wish I could, but unfortunately I can't.
I suppose a bit of a talk around Tom Cole's hamstring. How's he looking, and do you expect him to be able to play?
Yeah, so Coley will miss a bit of footy. So he's got an injury there. So he's going to miss a little while. We're not quite sure how long yet, which is unfortunate for him. But as it always does, it will provide an opportunity for someone else.
When you say he's going to miss a bit of footy, it sounds a bit more severe than what you were thinking. Are we talking surgery?
No surgery. No, it's not. Look, it's a bit unknown how long we've missed. It's not severe, but it's just going to. We don't know the exact time frame yet, so we'll work through that as he progresses through his rehab.
Maybe not necessarily like for like, but is there a spot in that back line now for Bo Allen?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I sort of spoke about earlier in the week that I don't. It's been challenging for Bo the last few weeks, being sub and getting such small game time. So we're going to play him a full game somewhere this week. He won't be sub, so we'll just work through that. There's potential that there is a spot there in the back line for him.
How far is Tom McCarthy from a debut? Is that likely this weekend?
Yeah, look, it's also potential. I think Tom's played 2 games for us now, but he actually hasn't main trained with our group yet. He was back in Melbourne for a personal commitment last week. Today will be his first full training with our group. So I think the challenge is we really think he can play and he'll be a long-term player for us, but we also want to set him up to succeed and, understand what we're trying to do out there. So we'll weigh that up in match committee this afternoon.
What is it about though, Tom, that you've seen, even in those short 2 waffle games, that makes you think that, hey, could be ready to stand up in the AFL if you did pick him?
Yeah, I think, so the reason why we picked him in the draft to begin with was for his traits of ball use, run. He takes the game on, he goes forward in the game, he's got overlap run, but he also defends well as well. So we think he's got a really good scope as a player, hence why we took him in the draft.
Even though he can't main train, are there other things that you've tried with him to get him up to speed with your game style and what you expect from him? Yeah,
of course. There's both he and Jacob. It's a fine line between how much you smash these guys with education. We've given them a lot over the last couple of weeks, but to fill in what the other guys have learned over 8 months now, it's not going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. So we understand that. We don't expect them to be at the same level, but we do want to set them up to succeed.
Without Tom Cole and Jeremy, obviously, for the unknown period of time, how important is it that guys like Baker and that stand up in what is a younger backline, I suppose?
Yeah, it is. It is probably one of our younger lines at the moment. I think Harry Edwards plays his 50th game this week, which is great for him. But Duggo's been back there. He's been really important for us. Bakes is obviously really important, but we are quite young behind that with Coley out. So such a critical line, your back line. We rely on their experience so much. I think Sandy Brock's really improving every game that he plays. So we've got to try and manage that as well.
Does the Cole injury maybe force your hand to move Hoff back again?
Look, potentially. We've spoken about that a few times. I'd probably be reluctant to, if I'm being honest, but we're just going to, this is the conversation we have in match committee every week. We've got to pick the best team available and try and maximise every line, have the right experience in every line. We don't want any one of our lines to be too young.
Just to speak of backline though, you've obviously then got the tough challenge of 2 Coleman medalists, which is a rare thing in a team. And Sandy and Harry have been holding their own lately. How do you go into this game with those 2 and try and back them? Obviously ball movement's key and restricting them, but also backing them to try and win those one-on-one contests. Yeah,
well, they're 2 of the best key forwards in the comm. It's always going to be a challenge. So we've got Harry, Sandy and Rubes, who we think have been a really capable back 3 this year, and particularly the last month. We think they're playing good footy, so we'll work out what we think the best matchups are. But as you said, if they get the right supply, they're going to beat most players in the competition. So our big focus will be on the pressure on the ball.
How have you handled the week, Andrew, with the missed opportunities with North, and I guess how you reviewed that game and then trained it?
Yeah, so we like a really consistent review. We sort of show the players the first 3 quarters of the game and what we did well, why we were able to have 50-odd entries up to 3/4 time, which is a monster number. And we sort of worked on some reasons why our efficiency was a bit down, and then we worked our way through the last quarter and sort of what happened, and some really honest conversations in the room, which were great, and will hold us in good stead for the future.
Did anything emerge from that about the missed opportunities that surprised you?
Look, I probably won't go into the detail of it. It's something we'll keep just internal. But there were some great conversations around the room. And we've got guys in different stages of their career sharing experiences as well, which is really important. So I'm sure we'll be better for it.
In a month period at home at the moment, I don't know if you saw, but Mark Evans told the West this week about an idea for an in-season tournament where essentially you could have, one here in Perth, one in Queensland, and possibly one in Darwin to help reduce the travel factor on some of these interstate teams. What are your thoughts on those kind of ideas and the ability to try and ensure that you guys get more home games, because the burden is massive, as you're finding out, I suppose, in your first year here?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've sort of spent 20 years in the AFL system, but not in one of these teams. 1 year on the Gold Coast, sorry. But yeah, it's significant. I think if we can get more games in WA, I'm all for it. We're all for it. We've seen the significant increase in training we've been able to do in the last 3-week period. We think it's been really beneficial for us, so would support that.
Would you want to be involved in opening round to get that extra buy into the season?
Oh, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Yeah, I think I don't, here or there, it doesn't really matter. I think it probably I don't know if there's been any advantages for teams being in an opening round yet over the few years that it's been in there. So whatever the AFL give us, we'll do.
Melbourne confirmed Cozzy Pickett's massive deal today. It's signed till 2034, I'm pretty sure. What are your thoughts on the long-term...
He signed on, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good on him.
Massive deal. But what are your thoughts on these long-term deals that are now being handed out in the AFL? You come from, like you said, you've been in the industry for 20 years. What's your thoughts on how these are developing?
Look, it's great for the player. That's the reality of it. It's just the way of the world. So I think that we're also seeing that even though they sign on, there's still potential to be traded later in those contracts. That's the reality of our industry. So yeah, it is what it is.
Do you think it tips the scales differently at different times? So right now the players are getting the longer term deals, and then maybe later it tips back when the rules change. The clubs then are able to have a bit more power in those things.
Yeah, potentially. We got a team that look after that space, so I don't spend a whole lot of my energy in there. I've sort of got a big focus on trying to coach a team at the moment, but it is an interesting landscape at the moment with the long-term deals, no doubt.
How do you look at Carlton's midfield? Last quarter against North, that's probably where they got you. You talk about the inaccuracies, but they were able to win 11 more clearances. They've got pretty good midfielders in there too. Do you have to defend a bit differently against them?
Look, we've been really strong. So the last time we played Carlton, we got beaten by -60 in the contest. It was a performance we weren't proud of. So we've already spoken about it this week. It's going to be a big battle this week. We know that they're incredibly experienced midfield with multiple ways that can hurt you. So it's going to be a very important part of the game. We'll have some really strong plans. We'll train it hard today, and it's a work in progress for us.